This video is for entertainment purposes only.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Susan Lynn, Psychic Medium. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you being here, and we're going to talk about something, my guides. Now, if you haven't been here before, I'm a psychic medium and I get information from my guides many times as I'm doing these videos, and that's why they seem kind of disjointed sometimes, and I apologize, because they'll just drop things in. So I want to talk today about two things. First of all, I posted a video yesterday about Trump and about the conviction and how my guides say he's not going to be convicted in the Senate. However, he's going to be charged. He's going to be indicted. He is going to face the music. I wish I could cue music here. Maybe I will. But anyway, he's going to face the music. So reason why I wanted to come on today was two reasons. One is to tell you that even though I say these things and the guides say these things, time on our side is very slow motion. Time on their side is very fast. So when they tell me something and I get a sense of urgency, I feel like, hey, this is going to happen, right? And I tell you it's going to happen, but then it doesn't happen. And we're all like, what happened? What happened was it hasn't happened yet. As a matter of fact, I've learned that, and I'm sorry to say this, but I've learned that when my guides tell me things, it's typically, it can be up to 3 months away. If you look back at my videos 3 months ago, you're going to find a lot of the things that the guides talked about happened. Not 100% because we all have free will. That's the truth of the matter, but a lot of it happened. So when I tell you that Trump is going to have charges, he's going to have charges. But what I'm on the video to tell you today is that the net is tightening on. I'm going to cue scary music. I am.
Police, come out with your hands above your head. We have the place surrounded.
The net is tightening on Don Jr. and, gosh, all of his kids. Okay, it's tightening, tightening, tightening. The wheels of justice turn slowly. Okay, but they do turn, and they are turning, and they are going to hold these people accountable. Okay, they are going to be held accountable. So for you out there in viewer land, what I want you to do is keep an eye, Google, you can do it on Twitter, you can do it on different things, you can follow stories or whatever. Google search news Trump family. You know, every day or every other day or whenever you feel like it. Because you're going to find that there's news where this investigator has opened a new investigation, which just happened with John Jr., I want to say. And it's going to make you feel like the wheels of justice are turning. And that's going to help you. That's going to make you feel better about things. It's going to make you feel less helpless, okay? So while we're waiting for the wheels of justice to turn, Google news stories and see them happening, recognize it, feel good about it, cheer them on, okay? Cheer on the investigators. Okay, I want to switch gears to Marjorie Taylor Green. Okay, what's happening with her is, my guides told me this morning when I woke up, she's gone. Gone, poing, gone. Which is not hard to imagine. I mean, well, maybe it is. Actually, things have gotten so out of control. And this is the point they wanted to make. Thank you for bringing me back to that. The point they just wanted me to make just a few minutes ago before I turned on the camera was what's happening with the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Boeberts, the Lauren Boeberts, and the Josh Hawleys and a few others, and the Ted Cruzes, don't make me say his name, is the Ted Cruz and the Josh Hawleys and I think they're calling it the Sedition Caucus. I swear to God, there's like a caucus called the Sedition Caucus. They are letting those two women, and especially Marjorie Taylor Green, run with the rope that will eventually hang them. And not only are they doing that, the guides told me, these people, the Josh Hawleys and the Ted Cruzes, are actually, this is the sinister part, they're actually seeding stories and releasing information, like being like the informant, like the Deep Throat, or the informant that would be, you know, you don't know who I am, but here's this information. So they're giving information to help those two women go down. Okay, now here's why. Here's why. Because first of all, the first thing that's happening is as we have someone literally in Congress saying that there were Jewish lasers that started the forest fires in California, and that the school shootings, didn't happen, and attacking David Hogg, that has moved the goalpost. What the guides show me is it's elastic, and instead of like, if you want to think about our laws and our judiciary and the Congress and the executive branch and those things being like an elastic band. Okay, well, we didn't think it was. We thought it was a little elastic because we can make amendments. We can change the Constitution via adding an amendment. We can change the Supreme Court by adding a new justice. We can change the Congress by adding different Congress people and senators. Okay, so in that way, this band is a little bit elastic. Okay, it's meant to be. It's meant to grow with our society. But what's happened, the guides told me, is instead of it being like a little bit like these people that are so far beyond the scope of our societal accepted standards, like Marjorie Taylor Green, they have made the elastic pull out to here. Okay, so they stretch the bounds of what we will accept in our community, in our culture, in our world. So now that's something that's happened. The elastic was here, now it's here. Okay, we have room now for QAnon. We have room now for all these things that are just 2 years ago we wouldn't ever have allowed to exist within our accepted society. So now the elastic is out to here. So when this is the important part. So when Marjorie Taylor Green and Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie's going first, and then Lauren, when they go out, they get thrown out or resign or whatever happens, but they leave their seat. The elastic goes back together, a little bit. It goes from here to here. It's not this. This is what it was. This is what it was for 100 years, 200 years. Now it's this. So the Josh Hawleys and the Ted Cruzes can say, this is key, they can say to their constituents, and constituents meaning R's and D's, that look, that was crazy. Those women were crazy. They were too far gone. I don't even know what they were talking about. And now we're going to expel them. And now we're going to get back to normal. So you see now, they're saying we're going back to normal. Normal's this. Now, it was this. Now it's this. Okay? With those two ladies, it was this. So yes, it has gotten a little bit back to normal, but they stretched the bounds of acceptance. Do you understand what I'm saying? The guides say this is a big deal. They've moved the goalpost. They've stretched the bounds of acceptance. Now, Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz, and there's some others, and Jim Jordan I think is already out, but there's some others, okay? There's some others that are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They are going to try to rebrand themselves as more normal, right? And try to pick up the ball and run with it. Now, who's the kid? Is it Josh Hawley? No. Who's the kid that looks like Beavis or Butthead who went in against Liz Cheney? Okay, y'all, we got to talk about that for a minute because, back in the day when Cheney was, in the White House, her father was in the White House. Everybody kind of saw him as basically the devil. I mean, he is not, if you look at his pedigree and you look at all the things he had his little fingers in over the last 40, 50 years, you would be quite surprised. So that man, and we all know that he was the puppet master for GW, right? He was the puppet master for GW. And GW has even intimated as much on several occasions. He really has. So what my point is, Dick Cheney is not somebody that you mess with. Okay? He's hardcore. his daughter, Liz Cheney, who's in Congress and represents Wyoming, is not somebody you mess with. But we have Liz Cheney being attacked by this nut job who's even to the right of her. I mean, is there any more right of Liz Cheney? No, apparently so. So now these people, by getting rid of Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Green, are going to try to seem more normal, and now you see this power play within the Republican Party where this guy that I cannot remember his name for the life of me, if I remember it, I'll put it on the screen, is battling against Liz Cheney and trying to make Liz Cheney out to be a centrist, which she is not a centrist. So you can see now what they're talking about with the goalpost having been moved. You see how they're moving them? Do you see how they're changing the Republican Party? Liz Cheney used to be on the right side of the center, and now they're moving her to the center and putting a crazy person to the right of her. Where does that leave the rest of us? For real, where does that leave the rest of us? That's just, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. Okay. I think this ties together. I think I can tie this all together in a second. I want to go from there to the Gamestop thing. The GameStop stocks, I'm not going to explain the whole thing here because you can Google it, but I'm going to tell you that in a very layman's grasp of what happened, some investors, which are like raiders, if you ask me, they're like Vikings. They go in and attack poor villages when they're on their down and out and raid them and then take everything they own. So that's kind of what I always thought about them. But anyway, they're short sellers. So they feel like a stock is going to go down. They start shorting it, meaning lowering the price of the stock so that they can basically gut it and take whatever's left. Okay. Literally, they're like carrion feeders. Okay. They're vultures. So they started shorting GameStop because GameStop is a retail center gaming store. It doesn't take a brilliant person to see that they're probably going to have some hard times and may actually close because you can't even go in retail stores very much. And kids don't, we all buy things online, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So here comes the interesting part of that story. The interesting part of that story is there's an online stock buying service that you can just go in and buy a quarter of a stock. I mean, you can just buy $5 of a stock. You can buy whatever you have in your pocket. You can buy that much of that stock. So it makes it easy for people that don't have stockbrokers, that don't know anything about stocks, to just go in and play with the market a little bit. A group of people on Reddit, which is a social sharing, service that tends to sift through everything. And then the things that really are on fire, that have a lot of activity, go to the top. Okay. So Reddit, this thing came to the top of Reddit and people were saying, buy GameStop, buy what did I just call it? Buy this stock. Okay. GameStop stock. Buy this stock, buy the stock. So they did. People started buying the stock. Average people, not stockbrokers, not billionaires, not Vikings, not raiders, not vultures, regular people. Well, they upset the apple cart. They actually raised the stock price against the will of these multi-billionaire people who were trying to get it down here. Okay. This caused an inversion and caused an upsetting of what's been known for, almost really and truly since the beginning of the stock market. I mean, we've tried to regulate it, but honestly, we haven't done a good job. So it's just upset the whole thing. And the billionaires were crying foul and saying, stop it. You're hurting us. Ow. So it's interesting, right? Because, and it ended up being a big mess because they stopped trading on the stocks and did a bunch. I mean, basically they stopped the whole thing is they're all free market capitalism. Let the chips fall where they may. Free market, until the free market kicked their butt. Then they were like, stop. Somebody stop it. Okay. So that's interesting. Okay, that's an interesting thing that happened in the stock market. But here's what's interesting for what the guides have to say about that thing. It caught my attention. I read an article about it, and then a subscriber wrote a really good comment about it and really explains it, I think, in a fantastic way. If you look at the last video I did and you go through the comments, I can't remember her handle, but it's a great comment. And I read the comment and I thought, yeah, that is so true. That is so cool. And then the guides, and this is what they do to me. Like, I could be making dinner, I could be walking the dogs, I could be doing anything, and then they just drop this thing in my head. So they dropped in Bolsheviks. And this is what they do. I'm telling you, they even do it during readings. I'm like, hold on, I got to look up this word. They just told me this word. Anyway, I'm not going to go into it, but I had to do it yesterday. I'm like, I think I know what this word means, but I know better now because I don't always really know what it means. And when I look it up, it's a different name. But anyway, Bolsheviks. Basically, if you look it up in Wikipedia, but I'll just read it here to you. And I hear my dog barking like crazy. Bolsheviks. We're a revolutionary party committed to the ideas of Karl Marx, but they believe that the working classes would at some point liberate themselves from the economic and political control of the ruling class. Hello, is that not what just happened? Is that not just exactly what happened? That the working class people, the average Joe, said, we'll band together and we'll teach these rich people a thing or two, won't we? So I thought that was really interesting that they brought up Bolsheviks of all things. I heard somebody on Twitter also call it akin to the French Revolution, which I didn't look up, but my guys use Bolsheviks. So I think this is important, and I think I can tie it back to the whole thing. What my guides are saying is that and I always try to say, like, why does this matter to you? You know what I mean? Like, why the hell does this matter to you? Well, first of all, the first thing is that look at the news and see how the wheels of justice are actually moving in our favor and they're actually happening, okay? But with this Bolshevik thing, what's happening is, okay, so they're saying, now they're talking to me, and they're saying that this is interesting. When they give me things, it's like in big block. People ask me, how do I get these messages? So I don't hear them talking to me right now. They just gave me a thought, like a paragraph of thoughts in a block. And I have to go through and try and read it and figure it out because it's not like a sentence. It's like literally like all the words in one block. Okay, so they want to tell you, and this is important because as we go forward, this is really going to be a big deal. They want to tell you that Trump is known as the populist president. Okay, and he was, I don't really believe, I know that technically might be true, but it doesn't make sense to me because he didn't win all the votes. He wasn't the popular president, he was the populist president. So what they're telling me is that, you know, these people, oh my God, it's so true. These people that voted for Trump are forgive me, I'm going to make some judgments here. But as far as we can tell, the demographics of the people that voted for Trump and the people certainly at that rally mob attack on our Capitol, they were white. They were of a certain age. All of them that I saw were over 40 and many of them were over 60. I saw people with walkers. Swear to God. So, you know, older Americans, white, and professionals and or people that have some kind of decent salary. You know, there was nobody there. You know, if you got to the Capitol, you had means. You flew there, you drove there, you had money to stay at a hotel, you had extra money in your account to do those kinds of things, and on pretty short notice. Okay, so there you have that demographic. Those people believe that they are not getting a fair deal. Now, I'm just going to try to keep Susan quiet. Okay. They believe they're not getting a fair cut. They feel like they're not getting a fair deal. Isn't that what the billionaires just said to the young kids and the people that bought all those GameStop stocks. We're not getting a fair deal. Stop it. So you can see how the guides are saying the Bolshevik revolution. You have these people on the upper stratosphere that say we're not getting a fair deal, when in reality, if you look at it like an iceberg, they're this much of the iceberg. They're this much of the iceberg, right? The rest of the iceberg is us. The rest of the iceberg is people that are not, even if we do have some money or some means, where we don't see ourselves as above, or separate from, or better than someone who doesn't, because we've all been in those shoes. We don't feel that we're so privileged. I will talk about, skin privilege is a thing. White privilege is a thing, but I'm talking about more socioeconomic. Okay. So socioeconomically, the guides are telling me that even though these people that have the Josh Hawleys and the Ted Cruzes and even the Liz Cheneys to be their cheerleaders and say, we're not getting our fair due. We're not getting our fair due. That's fine. Y'all go ahead, because guess what's coming down the street? What's coming down the street to you are millions and millions and millions of young people, and people like me that's not so young. We're the ones that are going to start saying to you, you have privilege. You have everything that you could possibly want handed to you on a silver spoon and platter. You get tax cuts, you get deferments, and you don't go to war like Trump did not go to, war. You don't get drafted. Give me a break. Okay. So what you're about to see is sort of like a Bolshevik revolution, where the people, probably Bernie Sanders will be in front of them leading the way, hopefully. Those people are going to start exercising their might, because they have might. They didn't know they did. They didn't, the goal of the Republicans was to work them to death, to keep them too busy and uneducated so that they couldn't fight back. That's been the goal of the Republicans ever since. Keep them too busy, make them work 3 and 4 jobs, keep them down on their luck, don't give them health care, don't give them a decent salary. Look at where we are now compared to where our parents or grandparents or whoever it was were in the 50s, the 40s and 50s, where one person could work and pay for a salary and have a house and a car, right? This is ridiculous what's happened. So now they've pushed us so far, along with C-19 and some other things, that these people are going to start standing up. So what you're going to start seeing is kind of a revolution, and it goes back to the same thing that a lot of astrologers saw with our astrology chart, meaning the United States of America astrology chart, where the planets are in the same places now as they were during the Civil War. Everybody's been wondering about this. Well, I'm here to tell you, these people are not going to lay down anymore. They're not. They're going to do social action. They're going to do what they did at the stock market. I don't know how many people bought those stocks. Let's say it's a few thousand people. They literally turned the tables on billionaires. I saw a story of a 10-year-old kid whose mother bought him Gamestop stock 2 or 3 years ago. She only bought him $60 of Gamestop stock just to show him how to invest. A very forward-thinking woman, mother. Well, guess what? He cashed it in and got $3,000 in his little account. So who does that help? That woman was a black woman and a black boy. Who does that help? Can you see now what's happening? Can you see how the tables are starting to get turned over? But they're not, it's not going to go. So my other point is too, it's not going to be easy. Okay. It's not going to be like, change is not easy. It's not. Again, this is something else the guides keep saying. That whole butterfly thing, oh, I'm a caterpillar. Oh, I'm going to go into a chrysalis. Oh, I'm a butterfly. You know what happens to that caterpillar in that chrysalis? Do you know? He gets molten down into some goo. It's not like he just grows wings on his little caterpillar body, because that's what I thought happened. I was like, he'll just grow wings, and then caterpillar. No, he melts down to some kind of goo and then reconstitutes themselves into a butterfly. It's not pretty. It's not pretty, folks. So what we're going through now is the same thing. We have to have the law and order to hold the Trump and the Trump kids and a lot of these congressional people accountable. That is happening. Law and order is happening. That is what's been called for. That is what's on the plate. It's coming. But at the same time, we have a lot of unrest. We have a lot of unrest with these kids, the kids that are doing the protest in Seattle and Portland every single weekend. I think we're going to see that across the country. I think we're going to get to a point, to be honest with you, and I'm getting chills, is that you and I I'm left of center, but I'm not really to the point right now anyway, where I'm rebellious, where I'm ready to riot, where I'm ready to just, protest. I'm not quite to that point yet, right? But I feel like many of the people that view this channel, you and I are going to be squashed in the middle. And you're going to have these crazy Republicans saying, I need more rights, I need less taxes, I count, I'm blah, 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 and then you're going to have these younger people saying, we can beat you at your own game. We know how to use social media. We know how to use everything that you don't know how to use. And we're going to band together and we're going to beat you. And that's what's coming. That's what's coming. So what that's going to how that's going to affect us is we're going to have regulation. Because I mean, on one hand, I kind of think, yeah, if people want to band together to change things, but then you can kind of see how that would be, how one interest group that knew how to use the system, isn't this exactly what the Republicans have been doing? But one group that knew how to use the system could really take over things and make the system more about them. Okay, so it's just like the Republicans, but it's on the left. So you're going to have these opposing sides doing this. And unless we can come in and put regulations so that they can change the system within some bounds, right? Which leads me all the way back to the beginning. We had this rubber band and we had the ability to kind of go in and out, to adjust for society, whatever. And then it got pushed out and out and out and out and out and out. And now this is our norm. It's not, it can't hold. This is not normal. So even though we get rid of some people and we go to here, we're still not back to here. So I think that's why those regulations come in, to knit everything back together so that, yes, we can have some elasticity. We can have some ability to move things back and forth and adjust for what people want in America, okay? But there needs to be some stops. There needs to be some gates. There needs to be some guardrails. They're always talking about the guardrails. That guardrails would have stopped this from being out to here. It would have been like, okay, no, we can't go any further than this. So that's what we need back, okay? That's where we need back. My God, here we go, another 30-minute reading. I swear, I get on here and I'm like, 5 minutes. I'm at 5 minutes. I'm going to talk really fast. Can you believe this? Okay, anyway, if you've watched this long and you haven't had to take aspirin or take a nap or lay down and like put a cold compress on your head, congratulations. You really got some mettle there, some METTLE. Thank you for watching. I do want to say one more thing. It's not going to be 10 minutes long, I promise. I'm going to start doing videos where I talk about my psychic week, because things happen to me during the week that are so funny and so unique and so different. And I think that people would really enjoy hearing about it. And I feel like, just to use a football analogy, because I can't think of any other thing, quarterbacks have helmets, and inside their helmets in the last few years, they put little microphones. And so you can hear what the quarterback is saying as they play the game. And I was thinking today, as I walked on my nature walk, and I went past this picnic table, and my best friend who's crossed over was sitting at the picnic table, had this beautiful smile on her face. And I went by the picnic table and I held my hand out and I was like, high five. And I did this. Y'all, there are people walking dogs I didn't know about 10 yards behind me, and they see me do this high five, and I'm like, I love that smile, and I do this thing, and then I'm walking, I look back behind me, and I'm like, oh, they think I'm crazy. I mean, maybe I am, right? Maybe I am. So if you watch this long, you got that little laugh anyway, I hope. And listen, I really appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the views and the subscribes. I'm trying to grow my channel because once I get to 1,000, I can actually do a little community. I don't have to actually do a video every time the guides drop something into my head. I could actually just do a little community note and you would get an update. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, please. There are ways to subscribe privately. People don't have to know that you're subscribing to anything. You can keep all your channels that you subscribe to private. My guides told me that was a problem a while back, and I keep forgetting to mention that. But you can do it. You can Google how to keep your subscription list private on YouTube. So that might be something that would help you guys feel better about subscribing. I don't know. But anyway, it's been a pleasure to talk to you guys. I'm sending you guys all love and light. And take care, everybody. We'll talk soon, I'm sure.